Hi guys, this is Dean from ABA. Today I'm going to show you what you need to know before you go to the SBL exam. So before we start, please make sure you turn on the Korean subtitles or English subtitles in the YouTube options, and let's get started. So let's go to the screen. So the SBL exam is one case study, one big case study. You will have 6 to 8 exhibits in total. It's going to be 4 hours long, and there will be 20 marks for professional skills. The models here are less important, okay? What's really important is how you apply them. You'll also need to be careful about the formats you use and the professional skills, of course. And 20 to 25% is just common sense. Okay, you won't need the book for common sense. For 4 hours, you're not going to do an exam. For 4 hours, you will be the CFO of a company, a real company. In your mind, it needs to be real, okay? And you will talk and express yourself and give ideas just as if you were a CFO for one day, 4 hours specifically. So when you're not talking like a student. You think like a CFO. You don't talk to the ACCA in your exam. You don't write for the ACCA. You write for the board of directors. People fail the exam because they fail to connect and link to each exhibit. I'm going to show you what an exhibit is if you don't know what it is. They have poor time management. They run out of time at the end because they spend too much time on a question. They only copy-paste sentences from the exhibits, but they don't add their thinking. They don't add a comment after, and that's 0 marks. They don't have enough book knowledge, so that's why you should come to our classes in Seoul for 3 months before the exam to learn all about the book theory. They don't answer the question correctly, so they don't read the actual requirement properly. They don't know how to use the computer platform, and they have poor grammar and punctuation, such as don't put a space between the last word and the full stop. No space after word, comma, space, word. That's proper punctuation in English, right? Okay. Are you ready to answer questions? Not quite yet. First, this is a wrong answer. You have a big blob of text. Don't do that, okay? You should do small little paragraphs, because a paragraph is a point and a point is 2 marks. We will explain that later too, don't worry. So think about it like this. You have one idea, put a space between each idea. And I've also underlined what you copy paste from the exhibit. So here, the text is actually all Latin. It's just fake text, right? But just to give you an idea of how much you should copy paste from the exhibits. Could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less, okay? Let's start with the formats. There's a few formats you should know, but really you can be able to do it with common sense. The most used one is the report. The report is very, very common in the exam. So you have the title at the top. This title here, you will write that down. Yeah, this is not me writing a title. It's you writing a title, report, center, underline, bold, to. That's to who. You will find that in the question. From, that's you, but not your name, not your ACCA number, who you are in the scenario, in the case study. Yeah, usually a consultant, an auditor, an assistant auditor, an assistant to the board of directors, whatever. So that's what you write down here. Subject, copy from the question. Copy paste. Maybe you'll edit a few words to make it more readable, but basically you just copy paste from the question. The date, you can write the date of the exam. Doesn't matter. Yeah, don't waste time here. Introduction. I'm going to say this. Don't write an introduction and a conclusion. Here we have an introduction where you just write this report and then you copy the same sentence as the subject. Exactly the same sentence. So you see the first part here, we're actually not wasting time. We spent 30 seconds and it's done. Then it's your answer right here. And your answer is something like this with paragraphs, 2 marks, 2 marks, 4 marks. Okay? As I said, Conclusion or recommendations only if asked in the question. So don't waste time with a conclusion and an introduction. And the close is sincerely and your role here. Yeah, again, you same as from. The other thing they could ask is a section of a report. Great, you don't have to do the intro, the whole opening and the whole closing. You just put the title of whatever you're talking about, for example, from the question, and this section of report, copy from question, then your answer. No conclusion. A briefing paper or briefing memo is exactly the same as a report, except for one thing. Here you would write briefing paper, not report, but also in your answer, you need to think about what a briefing paper is. It's actually something you give to the director or the board before a meeting. So they have a meeting this afternoon at 2 with the bank, with the stakeholder, with whatever, the auditor. They ask you to make a quick document to keep them up to date, to put them up to date, to prepare them for that meeting. So you will write short sentences, HR issues, risk register, boom, boom, boom. And there's lots of points. So they can read it quickly before the meeting, right? Same closing, same as a report. Otherwise, an email. So you should all know how to write an email, right? It looks the same. Everything looks pretty much the same. A presentation slide. So a slide would be, you will find it in the top left corner of the platform, the CB platform. And you will have two things. You'll have the slide itself, where you just make like 3 to 4 titles, subtitles. Yeah, you don't write a sentence here. You write your paragraph answers in the supporting notes right here. And you will maybe have to do 1, 2, or 3 slides maximum. Okay, so each paragraph sentence in the supporting notes should be 1 paragraph for high turnover, 1 paragraph for low staff morale, 1 paragraph for salary. Done. A letter. You probably don't write letters anymore, right? Well, a letter is a legal document. It's a proof. It's used in a court case, and you will use it, especially with deal with a bank or something like that. The date can actually be used in a court case. So a letter is very important. So how do you write a letter? At the top right is you, who you are. And then on the other side is who you are writing to. And please try to put the date above, not below. It usually is like that. But again, you're not going to lose that many marks. Don't worry. Then the subject, again, just like the report, copy from the question. Now you can here make a little bit more rounded, polite sentences, respected chairman. This letter, again, in a quick introduction again. And then your answer. Same closing. No introduction, no conclusion. A press release. So a press release is different. Why? Because just think about for a second who a press release is for. You could think, well, we send it to a journalist, maybe a newspaper. Yes, but then what does the journalist and the newspaper do with that information? They send it to who? They send it to the public, the people at large. So here, your communication is different. You don't talk about internal confidential information. You don't use complicated accounting words or finance words. No. You're talking to normal people. So this answer is quite easy if you have a press release. You need to tune your communication, your tone of voice to talk to the public, right? As the company. In terms of the actual format, you can see it's very similar to a report. You have a subject, you have the name of chairman, CEO, name of company, the date, and then at the bottom, say more information, contact PR, public relations. A business case is simply a business plan. So here, first part, current situation. You can find all that in the exhibits. Proposed option. You can find all this in the exhibits. So the first 2 points is like copy, paste, and paraphrase. You're just defining, you're just explaining, you're just describing. Very easy. All your evaluation application comes at the end. The benefits, the advantages of that proposed option. The last chapter of SBL is really important. It's the projects chapter, and a lot of people skip it because it's at the end, but it's really important, and you need to know at least what's in a project initiation document. So there's a lot of items such as the sponsor, the scope, the time, the budget. So take some time to read the project chapter of SBL because it is a very important chapter, a big chapter. Now, these, you may be asked, for example, in the professional skills evaluation, you will have to do pros and cons. What's the weakness? What's the recommendation? What's the risk? What's the mitigating factor? So just make a little table. I will show you how to do it on the CB platform. It's very easy. Just make a quick column, rows, table in your Word tool. Okay, as I said, 20% of the exam is professional skills. So it's really, really important. Now, in the book, they do explain it, but they don't really explain it easily. They use fancy British words. So let me make it very, very clear. There are 5 professional skills. Each professional skill will be asked in one question. So one question will not ask for 2 professional skills. No, just one of the 5 randomly. So the first one, evaluation. What's the pros and cons? The advantages and disadvantages. It's that simple. It's that easy. Seriously. Just think about it. If they ask you evaluation, just think about pros and cons. Advantages, disadvantages. Next, analysis. Why? Why that happened? What's the reason? What's the root cause for this to happen? For revenue to go down, to high staff turnover? Why everybody's leaving? You can find all the answers in the exhibits. And usually it's going to be in more than one exhibits. You'll find different reasons. Now that's going to score marks is how you pull information from different exhibits, right? But analysis, just think why. What's the why here? Communication, number 3. Simply use the formats previously mentioned, all of these. But you need to think about who you are. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to the CFO, the public, a supplier, the creditor, internal people, external people? So communication is just simply, again, as I said at the beginning, for 4 hours, you are a real CFO of a real company, and you need to think about it as if it was a real life, and that you can translate that in how you talk. Who are you? Who are you talking to? Use proper tone and grammar. Commercial acumen, number 4. Think about your business mind here. Are you commercially aware? For example, yes, you have all the books, all the theories, but at the end of the day, is the company going to lose money, make money, lose reputation? And do you have an overview of the whole business? So somebody in HR will only know about HR. Somebody in marketing will only know about marketing and nothing about HR. As the CFO, you know about all the departments, all the areas of the business, because everything comes through finance, right? So that's how you display commercial acumen. You understand the problems of the HR department. You understand the issues of the marketing department. And last one, skepticism. Don't trust anybody. Don't trust any information from the exhibits. It's simple as that. You are not an innocent child. You're an adult. You've been around the block and you've seen how the world works. And you've seen that people lie, people cheat, people try to get ahead and cut corners. And that's how you show skepticism. Well, what can you do in the exam then? Well, you can just ask questions. Say that you disagree with that statement. You say you need to look deeper into something. You want to ask questions about, okay, the director said this, but is that really true? And can we get proof? Can we get evidence? Next, when you start the exam, the first thing you will need to do is this. You will copy paste all the questions to your Word tool and do not use the scratch pad. Do not brainstorm in the scratch pad. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so when you open the exam, you just start it. Do not start answering questions here or reading the exhibits. No. The first step is you're going to go down to the word processor tool and you're going to take the questions and you're going to copy paste each question. Don't need to copy paste the professional skills here. Click on the gray tab to bring it to the front. So we're going to call this 1A because that's 1A and make it a little bit cleaner. I'm not going to waste 2 seconds cleaning the 15 marks. I don't care. I'm on the clock here. Let's paste the question number 2. This can go 1B. This is the question. Also, guys, please get a mouse for the exam. Don't be using that trackpad. Get yourself a nice mouse and a mouse pad. 1B. I'm not even pasting the background information too. What did I say about formats? Look, draft a concise, short, concise means short, section of the consultancy report. Section of a report. Next. You select all of them. Triple click. You go to paragraph, heading 3. Heading 3. Heading 3. This one. Heading 3. Now, let me make this very, very clear. Let's spaces. Now it looks good. Of course, you'll do for 2 and 3 as well. So that's step 1. Step 2, identify types of exhibits. One-to-one or one-to-many. So one-to-one is an exhibit that just is used for one question, and one-to-many is an exhibit that's used for multiple questions. So very important. How do you know which one it is when you look at the list of exhibits? The one-to-one is usually short, and then it's very specific, like a rich register, something about IT, maybe an article, financials. Yeah, something specific and short. A one-to-many is long, big. It's an interview of the CEO. It's the annual report. It's the board minutes, because they talk about lots of different subjects in this. So you know you're going to use it for lots of questions. First, identify them just by reading the title. Background report. That's probably one-to-many. Transcript of interview with the CEO. One-to-many. Integrated reporting data. Integrated reporting. That's a one-to-one for sure. October board report. Probably one-to-many. Evaluation of options. Options. Well, that's probably a one-to-one. And then notes, middle management focus group. Not sure. Let's look at the size. Okay, there is a lot of information. It's talking about the engineer. Probably something to do about IT. Maybe a one-to-one. So the next step is to read the exhibits. One-to-many first, right? Because they're more important. And do spend the time to read in detail. And I'm going to explain why. Because the key here is time management, of course. You have 4 hours. So the first hour, you copy-paste the question, and then you start reading the exhibits, the one-to-many. Then you have 3 hours to do the writing. And it's 1.8 minutes for each mark. 2 marks per point. Point is a paragraph. Remember at the beginning I show each paragraph? That's a point, not a mark. A mark is the 100 marks of the exam. So how do you read each question? Remember, we had these questions. They give you lots of information. They call it a requirement, not a question, right? So you have multiple parts of a question. You have the background. You have what's required, and then the professional skills. Let's look at them in a little bit more detail. So I have an example here. This is the background, required. Okay, do this, 12 marks, and then 2 marks, professional skills. This is how you need to see it. First of all, the blue here is the background information of that question. Then a report. That's the format we're going to use. Prepare a report. To who? That's the green. To the trust board. Okay, you see I'm filtering stuff already. I'm getting to the juice, to the meat. In the yellow is what you need to do. Evaluate the survey results and the performance of Relco. Okay, so I'm going to do a report. I know my format of a report. I'm going to write to the trust board of Relco. I am who? I am the assistant auditor of the NAA. Okay, and what I'm going to write in my answer in each paragraph, I'm going to just evaluate the survey results, which is an exhibit called survey results, and then the performance of Relco. Already I know what I need to do for the exam now. Now, next step is professional skills. So they are asking us to demonstrate analysis skills. So in each paragraph, I'm trying to find the reasons why the survey results are good or bad and the performance is good or bad. I'm trying to find the reasons, the root causes in the exhibits. And they also give in light blue, you see it's called the professional skills hint. So what's the hint? Demonstrate analysis skills in reviewing the information presented in the spreadsheet. So we'll have special care and attention on the spreadsheet that they give us. Now, this is not the spreadsheet that you have to do in your answers. Different, okay? Not the same, because they just talk about an exhibit here. Now, how do we calculate our time management and how to write our answer as well? Well, there was 12 marks here and 2 marks for professional skills. 12 plus 2, 14. Remember, it's 2 marks per point. So we're going to do 14, the total, divided by 2, 7. My answer should have 7 points. 7 paragraphs. You see, this is easy now. Very easy. All right, let's look at the report then. We have the title of my report. To the Trust Board of Relco, from Assistant Auditor of NAA. As I said, we found all this just right there. Subject, I just copy-paste the question. Implication of the passenger survey results and performance of Relco over the past 2 years. I literally copy-paste the question and just remove few words so that it reads correctly. That's all. So I've copied this here and I've copied this in the introduction. Exactly the same sentence, guys. The date is the date of the exam, and then that's my answer. Again, I just pasted Latin again, just to show you. Point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5, point 6, point 7. Sincerely, assistant auditor. Done. And remember, you need to do around six of these in the exam. So time is of the essence. Now, you have all the tools to answer the questions now, right? No. Let's go one step further and see how to read the exhibits and how to make a paragraph point. So how to find hidden answers in the exhibits. You're going to read it like this. Exhibit 1. This is a fake exhibit. The Caterpillar Way for Studying Theory for the SBL exam. The SBL theory book is huge. There's a lot of information to go through, but it is not impossible to absorb and go deeper into the rabbit hole. You don't need to learn everything by heart. You only need to understand. Otherwise, you will all go mad. You need to be curiouser and curiouser to be able to read and understand the information. Just like following a white Easter rabbit, you only need to hop from chapter to chapter and try to understand the reasons and concepts behind the model. Written by Lewis Carroll. Can you find the hidden answers? There is a hidden secret. Read between the lines. Did you find it? Let me show you. Caterpillar. Go deeper into the rabbit hole. You will all go mad. Curiouser and curiouser, following a white rabbit, Lewis Carroll. That's Alice in Wonderland. The point here is you shouldn't try to find references to English literature in the exhibits. My point is that you will find details. When you look closer, you'll find lots of detail that you can copy paste and pick up and talk about. That's the whole point. The examiner is going to put lots of little gold nuggets, diamonds hidden everywhere and see, is he going to pick it up? Are they going to notice? Okay, how to build each paragraph. We're going to think of it like Lego. Just think about you're building Lego. To build a Lego castle, you will need Lego bricks. So we'll have a few different Lego bricks, colors and sizes. The first Lego brick is going to be a keyword, a headline for my paragraph. This could be HR issues, risk register, strategic change, strategic management. You see? Just one word, headline, boom. Then the green, we have two. This is the copy-paste from the exhibits. So there's two types. You can either just copy-paste and that's it. The second one is a paraphrase. So you would copy-paste, but you will change the sentence. Try to keep the meaning of a sentence. You copy-paste it. You would change some words with synonyms. Yeah. Instead of big, you'll say huge. That's a synonym, right? And then you will move the subject of the sentence around. So if it's at the front, put it at the end. And now you're changing the whole sentence before. And now the meaning is the same, but it's something completely new. Now you're starting to get a little bit of marks here. Yeah, we're starting to go into marks territory because if you just copy paste, it's worth nothing. Now the light blue below that, you're commenting, you're adding comments on the exhibit, right? On that copy paste sentence or paraphrase. Now you're beginning to slowly getting more into marks territory here. Next block, Lego brick, is the book theory application. Unfortunately, there's no shortcuts here. You have to read the book and the theory and learn about SBL, okay? Now, I've underlined and bolded the three Lego blocks you should at least remember. Comments, book theory, application, okay? Show you understand the examiner how to use the model in the scenario. Now, there's two red Lego bricks that you should not use. That is the theory definitions, the ethics definitions. No, if the board of directors needs a definition, they don't need it from you. They can just go on Google and find it. So they need somebody who can apply it, who can use it. And usually in the scenario, there's a problem with three different theory models and you have to look at it all together, right? And they will test your ability as a CFO to handle this new scenario. So theory definitions, no. You're not going to write that. Or very, very, very rarely, yeah. Or if it connects to a paraphrase, for example. Then personal knowledge in blue. People don't realize that you are not a child. You are a working professional in real life. And you have experience. You have personal knowledge. You have things to bring to the table. And you should use it. And you should make it part of your answer too. You're going to score marks. Remember, think as if this was real life and for 4 hours you're the CFO of a big company. So bring whatever you have to the table. In the dark blue, you're going to less use this, but you can use questions. So this is kind of like dodging a bullet. Yeah, if you really don't know what to write, dodge the bullet by, when somebody answers a question by asking a question. You can do that, but don't do it too much, okay? Don't make your full answer like this. But if you want to fill a gap of space, well, ask a question. Well, I'm not sure about the validity of the data. It doesn't seem right. This revenue figure or this industry analysis seems to have holes. Is it possible to get more evidence? See, you're scoring marks for this kind of stuff. The murky blue, the colors are bad, but it's ethical issue a stance. So here it's not the ethics definition of the PIPCO, professional care, professional competence, integrity, objectivity, confidentiality. This is how you use that. So in the exam, they're not going to ask you a definition. They're going to give you a problem, an ethical problem, and see how you're going to react. They're going to show you the director doing something wrong, the CEO doing something wrong. And then you're going to have to use the communication professional skills to tell the CEO to his face that he's actually doing something wrong. You see, so you can't be rude to him, and they will see if you understand that you are actually talking to the person, the board, that is doing something wrong, and how you're going to tell them. You can't be like rude. And the last one is professional skills decorations. This is the sprinkles on the sundae on the ice cream. Again, I wrote it like this. Be a professional accountant, right? Think real life again. How do you speak? What do you say? So when you get all these blocks, now you can build Lego. So this is how it looks. Let's have a look. Boom. First the yellow brick, the headline. Then you can start with comment or paraphrase or copy paste. Then your application of the knowledge and a little bit of professional skills, a little bit of personal knowledge, and boom, you have a point very quickly. And this is how it would look like, for example, with a longer, real answer. So remember our question, there was 7, we had to do 7 points. The report, structure, format, and then our 7 blocks with all the Lego bricks. The first thing you should notice is that there are colors more prominent than others. Purple is very in your face. Green is very in your face. Why? Because green is all the copy-paste stuff, all the paraphrase stuff. So this is easy, right? You just copy-paste stuff taken from the exhibits. Now the purple is a little bit harder because purple is your book knowledge, your SBL theory knowledge. You're comfortable, you know what you're talking about. You have lots of tools at your disposal to use and talk about. Then the little blue here and there. So light blue is your comments. Comments is just like you don't need to know anything about the SBL book, but it's not copy-paste. It's in between. You're describing what's happening. You're explaining what's happening. Now, this is not worth a lot of marks. Just remember that. If you just describe what's going on, you're not adding anything to the table. Just use it sparingly as well. It's not too much in your answer. And then you have the dark blue there, which is a little bit in each point. It's you, your personal experience, your personal knowledge, your business knowledge. Bring it to the table. It's great. Show the examiner, the ACCA, show the ACCA that you are ready to be a professional accountant. And then we have a little bit of decoration, professional skills decorations a bit everywhere. So you see, it's not really that complicated once you get the hang of it. You know the formats. You know how to read the exhibits. You can build the Legos. And one last point I will make is this. Just before the exam, you gotta go back to the book, and you can't read the whole book before the exam. But what you can do is go at the end of each chapter and read the summary of each chapter. What you shouldn't do for the exam is to have a deep vertical knowledge. Deep knowledge of one chapter, of governance. You know everything about governance. No, that's not good. It's better to have a wide, broad knowledge across the whole chapter. So you're not going deep in one chapter or two chapters. You know really deeply that chapter. No, it's better to have a basic understanding of each chapter. So read the summaries. Just read every summary. Yeah, don't go deep if you don't have time. And hopefully that will be enough to make you pass. But if you don't pass, that's okay. It's just an exam. What you can do is you can come to our classes in Seoul. We're going to start classes for SBL, SBR. So let me see. Strategic Business Leader, Strategic business reporting will be starting the last week of June. It will go on for 3 months, and we will do a class every weekend until the exam week. And we'll go over the book. We will use the BPP book in detail, go over every chapter, explain every concept, explain every British vocabulary. Okay. We will also do audit and assurance and taxation. So taxation will be the UK tax variant, and we also do financial reporting and financial management. Okay, so I hope to see you in the class this June. Thank you.